Karen called 911 over me parking on my ranch froze when the sheriff turned out to be my son. The phone call came at dawn, shrill and urgent, shattering the quiet of my ranch. Ma'am, this is 911. We've had a complaint about a vehicle blocking a driveway on your property. Officers are en route. I stood frozen, coffee mug in hand, staring out of my old pickup truck parked sloppily across my own gravel drive. My land. My home. Who would call the cops over something so trivial? Then I saw her, Karen, my new neighbor, standing by her gleaming convertible, arms crossed, lips curled into a smirk that screamed entitlement. She'd moved into the mansion down the road a month ago, and already she'd made it her mission to civilize our rural corner of Montana. Karen was a vision of ostentatious wealth fur coat, designer shades, nails like talents. She'd stormed onto my property the day she arrived, demanding I trim my cottonwoods because they ruined her view. I laughed it off, thinking she'd settle down. I was wrong. Yesterday, she'd screamed at me for letting my horses graze too close to her fence. Now this. I stepped outside, the morning chill biting my skin, and saw the damage. My flower beds, painstakingly tended for years, were crushed. Fence posts lay splintered. The gate to my pasture hung crooked, its hinges torn. Karen's doing, no doubt. She'd wrecked my land over a truck parked on my own damn ranch. I marched toward her, heart pounding. Karen, what the hell? You called the cops over my truck? And look at this mess. I gestured at the destruction. She didn't flinch, just tilted her head, her voice dripping with condescension. This eyesore of a vehicle is blocking my access. And your property? It's a blight. I'm doing you a favor by reporting it. Maybe now you'll clean up. Her words stung, but the smugness in her eyes burned hotter. Before I could respond, sirens wailed in the distance. A sheriff's SUV rolled up, kicking up dust. Karen's smirk widened. She thought she'd won. The truth unraveled fast. As the sheriff stepped out, I saw his face me's son, Ethan, all grown up in his crisp uniform, badge glinting in the morning light. Karen's jaw dropped, her sunglasses slipping down her nose. Ethan's eyes widened for a split second, then narrowed as he took in the scene. "Mom," he said, voice steady but laced with confusion. I hadn't seen him in months. He'd been stationed in the next county over, working his way up the ranks. I hadn't expected him here, not today. Karen stammered. "Sheriff, this woman's truck is blocking my car. It's a public nuisance." Ethan raised a hand, silencing her. "Ma'am, this is private property. My mother's property. Let's hear her side." I laid it out of the truck, my ranch, Karen's tantrums. Then I pointed to the wreckage, the trampled flowers, the broken fence, the gate she'd clearly kicked in. Ethan's face hardened as he walked the property, noting every detail. Karen's confidence faltered, but she doubled down. "This place is a dump. I was within my rights to fix it." Her voice cracked, betraying her. Ethan turned to her, calm but cold. "You're admitting to vandalism, ma'am?" Karen's face paled. She hadn't expected pushback, not from a sheriff she thought she could bully. Then came the twist. From the edge of the property, old Mr. Jenkins, my neighbor for decades, hobbled over, leaning on his cane. He'd been quiet all these years, keeping to himself, but today he spoke up. "I saw her do it," he rasped, voice like gravel. "Last night, she came out here with a crowbar, smashing things, yelling about teaching a lesson. I got it on my security camera." He held up his phone, showing grainy footage of Karen, illuminated by her car's headlights, swinging at my fence like a woman possessed. The crowd that had gathered neighbors drawn by the sirens gasped. Karen's veneer of superiority shattered. She looked small, cornered, her fur coat suddenly absurd in the Montana dust. The confrontation peaked as Ethan stepped closer to Karen, his voice low but firm. "Ma'am, you called 911 over a parking dispute, but you've admitted to destroying property. We have evidence. You're looking at charges vandalism, trespassing, maybe more." Karen's eyes darted, searching for an escape. She tried to pivot, her voice rising to a shrill pitch. "This is outrageous. Do you know who I am? I'll have your badge." Ethan didn't blink. "I know exactly who you are. And I know my mom. She's lived here her whole life, raised me here, built this place from nothing. You don't get to come here and tear it down. The crowd murmured, some nodding, others whispering. Karen's bravado crumbled. She clutched her purse, muttering about lawyers, but her hands shook. Ethan radioed for backup, his tone professional but laced with a quiet fury I knew too well. He'd always been protective, even as a boy. Now, seeing him stand up to Karen, I felt a swell of pride mixed with exhaustion. This wasn't just about a truck or a fence. It was about respect, about roots, about someone thinking they could bulldoze their way through a community just because they had money. Karen's downfall was swift. The backup deputies arrived, and after reviewing Jenkins' footage, they cuffed her. She shrieked, her sunglasses falling to the ground, her perfectly styled hair coming loose as she was led to the squad car. The neighbors watched, some in shock, others in quiet satisfaction. My flower beds were ruined, my fence broken, but Karen's arrogance had cost her more. As they drove her away, I caught Ethan's eye. He gave me a small nod, the kind that said, "We're okay." I nodded back, my throat tight. The ranch was quiet again by noon. The dust settled, the neighbors gone. Ethan stayed for coffee, sitting at my kitchen table like he did as a kid. We didn't talk much about Karen. There was no need. She'd face her consequences, fines, maybe jail time, and the humiliation of being the talk of the county. I looked out at my battered ranch, the broken gate, the trampled flowers. It'd take work to fix, but I'd done harder things. Ethan reached for my hand. "You all right, Mom?" I smiled, squeezing his hand. "Better now." This wasn't just about one woman's meltdown. It was about standing your ground, about community, about the ties that bind us to the land and each other. Karen thought she could steamroll me, but she didn't count on the strength of Root's mind, Ethan's, even old Mr. Jenkins. Her arrogance was her undoing, and in its wake, I felt a quiet victory. Not vengeance, but justice. What do you think? Was Karen's reaction over the top? Or did she have a point? Should I have parked better? Or was this all on her? Share your thoughts. I am curious where you stand.